Welcome back to Patcast, everybody. I'm your host, Pat Monahan, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving with their families. I hope you got a chance to spend some time with the people you love. I know I did, and I think I gained 11 pounds. That's just wine weight, like 11 pounds of wine weight, and then there was the turkey. So yeah, I'm the new round rocker. This week, I have a great interview to help you get over the turkey hangover. A guy named Egg White, E-G, not 2 Gs. 2 Gs is not cool. 1 G is incredibly cool. Egg White. If his name doesn't sound familiar to you, don't worry. It shouldn't be. I never heard of him until a few months ago, and now I'll never forget him. Behind many of the names in pop music, you may know and love One Direction, Katy Perry, Maroon 5, Train. There are a handful of very smart and talented co-writers, collaborators, and producers who work tirelessly to help create the music that we hold so close to our hearts. Egg White is one of the best of those co-writers, and even though you may never have heard his name before, you've probably heard quite a bit of the music that he's worked on over the years. And some of these names might be familiar of the people that he has worked with. Tom Odell, which that guy is insanely talented. Rebecca Ferguson, Florence and the Machine, James Blunt, James Morrison, Joss Stone, Emiliana Torini, and Adele. Egg, and that really is his name, is a force to be reckoned with in this world of songwriting. When you first meet him, he comes across as an unassuming, maybe even reserved guy, but he thinks about and understands music in a profound way. Any artist that works with him is sure to recognize that. He has an amazing talent as a writer and a music thinker. Unless, of course, they look him up on YouTube, in which case you may come across some of the bands he joined in the 80s as a member of Brother Beyond and Yip Yip Coyote. He made music so bizarre it makes Devo look like the Backstreet Boys. But by the early 90s, he had teamed up with model and professional BMX biker Alice Temple to form Egg and Alice. And together they made some pretty great stuff. And they had one record together that, while it still lingers in obscurity, was in its way an amazing twist on pop music and was praised by critics as one of the best records of the year. By the late 90s, Egg had, for the most part, stopped making music of his own and became focused on helping other people write songs. And it was then that he found his calling. I would read you his list of songwriting credits, but I think I'll have to let you look all that stuff up on your own. Even just the list of singles would take forever, and we would never get to this great interview that he gave us. But here's just a few. Tom Odell's Hold Me. What the Water Gave Me by Florence and the Machine, Warwick Avenue by Duffy, and Adele's Chasing Pavement. I stepped into his London home several months ago for a really great songwriting session. His tiny basement studio was crammed with keyboards, guitars, drums, and a lot of great ideas came out of these couple of days. In between writing, we would take breaks and retreat to the kitchen. Egg would make up cups of tea for everyone about 10 times a day, and then we found time for a longer break. We sat down and recorded this podcast. Egg is a really fascinating guy and has had a lot of great stories. I also got a chance to sing with him on a song from his Egg and Alice days. So here you are. I guess that would make me Alice in a way. And I've always wondered if maybe inside of me somewhere there is a woman living named Alice. So here you go. Egg White on the Patcast.
What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you. You got to get it while the getting is good. Laugh when you can, cry when you should. You got to give it till the giving is gone. Do what you can, then you move on. What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking. What do you do? What do you do when nobody's looking? Nobody's looking, looking at you.
All right. One of my favorite writers in the entire world right now. I get to hang out with, spend time with, and also write songs with. And I think we plan on actually starting with one of your older tunes, right? This is Francis Anthony Egg White, but you would only know him as Egg White because why else would you know the rest? When you got a name like Egg White, you don't use any other name. Is that the way it goes?
Yeah, everyone calls me Egg, yeah.
And so this song is from what year, do you think?
No, I do know. This was 1990. Maybe it's 89, somewhere around there.
Yeah? And so this was recommended that we do this song from your friend Lucy.
Yeah. I was just thinking, what would we do? Kind of never been asked a question.
It's such a unique song. I've never heard the song until just recently, and it gets in you and just lives in you. So let's try it. This is a song by Egg White. Actually, you had your band called was what?
Yeah, it was Egg and Alice.
Egg and Alice.
Yeah, and Alice wrote it too.
And Alice, was that the girl you were on the phone with earlier?
Nah, it's a different Alice.
Different Alice. There's a lot of Alices here in London. All right, this is a song called Indian.
Whoops, and again.
Jack Malloy came up to me at a party on the hill. Sad expression on his face. He said, though it grieves me so, I've been asked to throw you out by the owner of this place. I said to him, I wonder how come you can turn on a friend. I think it's so sad, we may never be the same again. Well, please don't tell me I'm an Indian. No, please don't tell me we may never be the same again. And if you tell me I'm an Indian, and you're an Indian too, makes you an Indian too. For several years I have been on the edge of every scene, a stranger in my town. And even though they say hello, they would not be seen with me. I guess they'll never know. Oh, I wonder how come they try to pretend. I think it's so sad, and we may never be the same again. No, please don't tell me I'm an Indian. No, please don't tell me we may never be the same again. And if you tell me that I'm an Indian, and you're an Indian too, oh, you're an Indian too. What happens here?
Yeah, let's just do another chorus. It's so good. Ready?
No, please don't tell me I'm an Indian. No, please don't tell me we may never be the same again. And if you tell me I'm an Indian, you're an Indian too, makes you an Indian too.
Man, that's cool, dude. Is there
And so
anything?
imagine if I cocked up the chord on the downbeat of a second verse. Should we edit it in and get it right, or you're not fast?
What? I loved it like that.
Great.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I just made a fairly grievous mistake, but
If you'd rather do it again, we can.
I covered it pretty quick.
I'm into like
How it
the
happens.
spontaneity of whatever it is. There's a comedian that we did a song, and it was so terrible. It was unbelievable, but it was magical at the same time because it's never going to be that terrible again, and that was what was great about it. Okay, so really, you got to tell me what that song is about because I don't know what it means really.
Maybe it's about being Jewish. I'm half Jewish. My mum's Jewish.
So
And
it was
finding
like
myself-
it was kind of about like, hey, don't be racist or don't.
No, really, it's just about what had happened was I was a North Londoner, so maybe it's more about that. I was a North Londoner, and I was going to school in Southwest London, and every single day I would take the bus through Notting Hill and Kensington, and I'd change there from the 28 to number 9, and every day I would get off, and it would take me longer and longer to make the change. And I had friends who lived around there, and sometimes I'd stop for an hour. And then in the end, I was practically not even going back home. And a couple of years later, my granddad died and left some money, and me and my brother bought a flat on the west edge of Notting Hill. And I became a proper member of mid-80s Notting Hill society. But I kind of was not quite right. And Alice was totally right. Alice was the heartland, total heartland of great English stock Notting Hill, beautiful, model, clever as hell, beautiful. And it was just perhaps me just feeling, well, I like being here, but I'm not quite one of you.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, like not belonging. You've written some pretty incredible songs with some pretty incredible artists. And I just wondered if we could tap into a little bit of how you do it and how you can work day in and day out with different people, but keep it interesting and fresh after 20 years of writing songs, either by yourself or with others.
Keep being bad at it is one of the answers. You know, that, you know, I'm desperately unsatisfied by the quality of my output.
Isn't that funny?
It's just... You know,
people who are good at things tend to just, there's never a place of arrival. Like I talked to my manager about this a lot, and he manages a girl named Sia. And Sia has some of my favorite quotes of all time. One is, there was an award show, and she went with Jonathan, and she didn't win the award. And he was like, he felt so sad for her. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she was like, that wasn't going to fill the hole. You know what I mean? You know, like, and he was like,
so
that makes so much sense. You know, like, of course you can't, you're too good to like, there's not a place that you're going to go like, cool, that fixed everything.
That's it. I no longer have to work or even live.
Yeah.
Time to finish.
It's a pretty, like it makes all the sense in the world. So there's a hole that you're just trying to fill and it's unfillable, right? You're just like all other artists.
Yeah. Something about communicating to an imaginary person and being communicated with perhaps by myself. You know, it's
imaginary person. Oh, that's interesting.
You know, there's just something about being communicated with. You know, I kind of think pop music has these two things. One of them, its main job, I think, is to prove to people that something transcendental, something amazing, something better, something that just goes up is always available, even though you won't think it is. You know,
is your favorite music in the world pop music, or is that the genre that you're in? When you think of your life and music, what were the beginning influences, and where are you today? Who are you like, yeah, there's something magical coming out of that person right now? And who was that when you were a kid? Well,
actually, no. My favorite music is not pop music. I come from a family of string players. Mum and Dad are both professional players.
Classical music
That's what I started with, Bach, Baroque music. Later on, when I became a player, and I was never that good, it would always be classical stuff, mid-19th century, late 18th century, Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, all that kind of thing. But the music I really like is I suppose you would call it late romantic. I don't know what you call it. But it's the music that was made in the world, usually in Europe, but not exclusively, between about 1860 and about 1940.
But as a kid, look, there's some pictures of you on the internet in some bands. What was there's like, I don't see what the connection to Bach is in a couple of these bands.
Oh,
so
God, pure whoredom.
Yeah, you have to explain like what the translation was. What was the translation between Bach that's the inspiration to like being in a near Devo like country band, right?
Oh God, that band was so bad. No, honestly, these bands were so much worse than anything like that. They were so bad. These bands are bad.
I can say Coyote.
Yip Yip Coyote.
But boy, I mean, so weird in a lovely way, you know, like I think when I watched YouTube videos of it, it was like, that is maybe like, I want to see more of that, right? No, not you.
It's not as extraordinary as it seems from a kind of distance of 25 years or whatever it is.
And then Brother Beyond was...
Yeah, Brother Beyond was a straightforward pop band.
Right. It seemed like... There was a song in Brother Beyond. It seemed like I might have heard that in the United States before. Did you get much airplay?
Maybe they did. They had one that kicked off.
They did?
That nearly kicked off.
Without you?
In the States. Yeah, without me.
Okay.
I was long gone.
Oh, you were long gone.
Yeah.
Why did you not... Like, when was the translation or the transfer, I should say, between being in a band and being yourself?
Well, there are all sorts of movements. In a way, the first one was classical music only. It wasn't like it was a kind of, ooh, keep the devil out of this house or anything like that. But the bits of pop music I would hear in the early 70s were things like I Love You, Love My Only, and Under the Moon of Love, like crappy early 70s. Great pop records, great/crappy pop records. Was the only stuff that would just somehow get heard because of pure public domain. And somehow I heard the Beatles without even knowing I'd heard them. But then in 1978, I guess it was, do you remember there's a Queen song, I'm a rocket ship flying to the moon, bum.
No, I don't know that.
Don't
That's
stop
Queen?
me, now I'm having a good time. That one, it's a killer song.
Wow,
Anyway,
I love that chorus already. I got to hear that song.
Oh, God, it's good. It's
Don't
really
stop
brilliant.
me now, I'm
Yeah.
having a good time. Man,
Oh,
that's
it's
an
brilliant. You've
amazing
totally got
lyric.
to hear it. Totally got to hear it. It's fantastic. Anyway, I taped, for some reason, the top 40 off Capital Radio in 1978, I guess it was. So I was quite old, 11 at this point, properly at school, proper classical musician, have no knowledge of pop music. I hear this and suddenly I think, ooh, there's some good stuff here. This isn't all crap. Another great song, Making Plans for Nigel, was a year or so later. But just hearing stuff on the radio as a kind of classical musician who's just beginning to hit puberty, suddenly I suddenly saw it. Suddenly saw what made sense in pop. And then when
So yeah, puberty makes a big difference for a musician because, like for me, I wanted to be a baseball player, and then obviously it became clear that I didn't have the talent to continue to be a baseball player. So then what's the next thing? And I played drums, and no one had the courage to sing in front of teenage girls because we were teenage boys. So I just finally did it out of the fact that no one had the courage to do it. I was like, just give me the mic, you know. And then it became this, but perhaps without puberty, without the longing to be accepted by the opposite sex, I don't think that I would have become a singer.
Yeah. But also, in a way, you saying that it was the courage that got you up from the drum kit to sing, you know, it feels to me like that's actually one of the key qualities, anyway, of being a singer. Nothing to do with musicality or anything like that, which is hugely important. But courage is, you know, my dad's even the same. Even my dad says it. He was listening to the Young Musician of the Year, and he goes, you know what, the cellist, she really had something to say. And it's as simple as that. It's just a one-liner, but he's bang on the money. It's some people have something to say and want to say it and have the courage to say it. Yeah, there are other things you've got to have. You've got to then work on your pitching and and you've got to think and all that kind of thing. But
do you think that today music is? I guess you speak from an artist perspective, and you're talking about artists. But do you think that in the new world that we live in musically, that the game shows of music have created more artists? Or just more music from...
some are good, you know, some are good. 3 years ago, there was a bumper crop in England.
A bump of crap?
No, a bumper crop.
Oh, a bumper crop.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means a good crop.
Oh, good.
There were 3 good people came through 3 years ago. I mean, they're always interesting.
Through like a game show
Yeah, through
thing?
X Factor.
Oh, cool.
And good people. I mean, I've had some... You know, the fact is, people have to come through by whatever means is available.
Right.
And
well, I love your perspective of like the music business and how that's turned out.
Yeah, it's quite fun now.
Yeah,
it's kind of
quite
cowboy.
fun.
It's like late 50s when people were making records. I mean, then they were ripping artists off really badly, and now, thankfully, there isn't enough money to rip the artists.
Yeah, that's right. There's probably still working on it.
Yeah, if
like,
they could,
there's
you know what,
35
in secret
cents.
it all happens.
Yeah,
you're dead right. But there's a lightness to it now that the big score has gone. Now that people don't think, crikey, if I get this exactly 100% right and I finesse this thing to perfection, I will wake up and I'll be a zillionaire. No one can have that MO anymore.
Do you think it's still true that if you were going to advise your children, which you have 3 girls, to go one way or another, would you encourage them to go into the music business at this point? Yeah. Are you like
I certainly wouldn't discourage them.
Are you like a, hey, you got to do what you need to do kind of father, or are you it would be better if you did what I want you to do kind of father?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to choose the latter in public, am I?
I don't know.
But my dad said to me, get out of classical music. This is dying on its arse.
Huh.
This is a dying world. Everything about it is dying. It's creatively dying. We were making better records 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago than we are now. The skills aren't coming through. And
did that matter to you when he said that? Did that make an impression on you?
enough, and I'm still quoting it 35 years later. So yeah, it did. Yeah.
Good. Because sometimes, you know, what your parents say is what you want to do the opposite of.
Yeah, no, he was just saying about classical music. He was saying,
but still,
you know, I was never good enough anyway. But
that probably helped.
it really helped. It was like,
That's good, Dad, because I don't play very well, or at least that.
Yeah,
that was always my deal. Is like, man, good. I don't have to think about going into classical music because I'm shit.
Yeah.
When it comes to a musician, so that works out great. I don't have to think about that. But you, on the other hand, are actually a great musician.
Yeah, but not in that way at all. I'm good. I can play lots of instruments pretty well, but my coordination's not so good. Like if you were even going to consider being a basketball player or whatever it was, you must have good coordination. Again, drumming. My coordination's just not that good. It's just genetic. It's just how it is. You know, I'm not that brilliantly put together, so I'm never going to be super good on any one.
So what do you think that you bring? What is your most valuable asset to offer an artist who might come here and to write songs with you? Because you've worked with some of my favorites and some of the biggest, you know, like James Morrison, who we discussed earlier. Like, that guy's he's a great artist to me. I think he writes great songs, and the ones that I'm attracted to are the ones that you've written with him. But also, you know, the biggest artist in the world to me beyond even Beyonce is Adele. And, you know, you spent a good portion of time with her. And what do you have to offer that you feel like is of value that people will walk away from a session feeling like, man, that was interesting?
Maybe flexibility. Maybe that's what it is. You know, some people, it's just my job to technically back them up. You know, they even know the chords, they know exactly what they want to do, and I'll sit there and I'll go, okay, well, today I'm an editor. And so, like Tom Odell, for instance.
Yeah, Tom Odell, like that kid. Like, please, whoever is listening to this, you got to find out about this kid, Tom Odell. I think he's the future, or one of the future greats of this country.
Yeah, he could be really brilliant.
Yeah,
he really could be. It's there within his sights.
And you see
he's got the work ethic. I totally see it.
He does. He has the work ethic. Yeah. That's great.
He's got what he needs. He's hard on himself, but not so hard that he crushes ideas.
That'll disappear for 3 years because he can't face people. Yeah.
No,
good.
You know, he's pragmatic. He's hardworking. He's great.
Good.
So with Tom, I barely wrote anything on the 3 songs I wrote with him. I was there as an editor. You know, in a way, this was an extreme position. You know, to be there as someone saying, okay, and he'll play the chords and they're great, and I'll go, well, maybe that inversion that you played the first time was better, and actually it had an F sharp and not unnatural, or whatever it is. You know, I'll just be picking out what he's doing, and then going, obviously this rhyme isn't good enough, and I think we got to nip a bit out of the structure here. So in that place, I was purely technical help. He knew what he wanted to say, he knew the kind of language that he needed to say it with, and I couldn't really help. You know, he was aiming for a particular transcend. What kind of language? A mystical language. Van Morrison sometimes used it. Language which is on the hinterland between reality and not.
Can you help me write a Van Morrison song?
No.
No. Have you ever kicked an artist out? Have you ever been like, I really need you to leave right now?
No.
Man, can you do that at the end of this interview just so the next person
just so
who asks?
you got a one-off position.
Yeah. I want to hold that place in your heart. So these are all interesting ideas to me that, you know, because songwriters, I find them to be a unique kind of, they're in a unique part of the world to me, because it's kind of like script writers. When you're in Hollywood, I think that, you know, the actor gets to say what kind of the artist was trying to create on a script. And so as a songwriter, there's a lot of credit that you're never going to get, because people don't really care when they're listening to the radio. Yeah. That's not what kids are thinking.
Well, they shouldn't be thinking, who wrote this? And, ooh, do
but
I
see,
hear
I do, and I'm sure you do, because that's who we are. When you hear something that strikes you as either, you know,
good or exceptionally bad.
Right. Good or
like,
exceptionally bad. You're like, I got to find out about that, right? But I find you to be, I would just imagine that there must have been kind of a transition between being an artist and a writer that you struggled with. Because I know I would have. If I would have struggled, if I would have been an artist into...
That was the thing, I never really
You never really felt like you were,
but
you were
you're talking about, the courage. That thing where you stand up there and you've got a sense that you belong up there and a right to be up there. I never had that, actually.
Well, I don't know if it's courage. I suppose that it might be in a way, but
It's deeper than that. It's a kind of emotional position. It's right there. It's a sense that you have a right to take up people's attention.
and you're good being in the supportive role, and it feels right to you. Because there are supposedly, I ordered this book. I think Pergo, you ordered it, right? There's 5 personalities, and I haven't read the book yet, so I know that one is called creative assertive, and then there are other there's something supportive, and there are 5 of these, and we all fit within those areas, and certain people work well together, and certain people don't. So I'll turn you on to this later, but it sounds like you're the type of guy that really just wants to be in a supportive role, but also I hear you sing and you have an amazing voice. So you could go do shows every night probably if you wanted to. But that's not something that you see?
Well, there's a kind of level of lying going on here. I'm actually probably closer to creative assertive. But I've learned that doesn't really work. So there's an overlay. There's overlays on overlays, but basically there's a sense that, how can I put it? Maybe looking at the song in a different way is what happened. Was I no longer really look on the song as a thing in itself. A song needs a singer. A great song can sound like shit sung by the wrong singer. That's really easy to happen.
Yeah.
And even a bad song, if it lights up a singer for some incredible cosmic reason, will become a really good song.
That's true.
And the two can't be separated. Like for years I've been thinking that song Everybody Hurts by R.E.M. was the most incredible song. But it's not, actually. The words are fairly banal. It was written by the drummer. And when you have a listen to it, especially the first verse and the chorus, Michael Stipe just sings the shit out of it.
Right.
Something happens to him. And he sounds...
Everybody hurts.
It's the bit, it's like... When you hold on, and you can hear him, and he's holding onto the note, and the note starts to wobble, and any sensible guy is just going to back off with dignity, but he doesn't. He holds the note, and the note's wobbling, and then it just craps out, and it's just like listening to an extreme sport, listening to him sing that song.
You listen to music so differently. Like my wife and I will be listening, and I'll be like, oh, I don't think I can listen to this whole album because I just can't stop thinking about that thing. And she'd be like, I don't even notice that. Like, you listen kind of like you're paging through a contract, right?
Yeah,
it's
totally
like,
going on.
oh, that's just not going to fucking work right there. That's got to go. And that's how I listen. That's why sometimes I just don't want to listen to music because I become so judgmental that I can't just relax. Like, I've been asking myself, should I start smoking pot again? Because I need to let go of whatever this thing is. But would that help? I mean, not that you're an expert
that's
in
why I
weed,
listen to
but
classical music. When I'm washing up.
That's right. Because that's why I listen to jazz. Because I can't do it, so I don't have to and I don't have to compete with it. Right? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Once
I
you
play
feel
Parker and strings, or I play anything written pretty much between 1860 and 1940, and then Ben Britton and a few people beyond Arvo Part. There's some stuff that I'll keep on playing that was written, 70s, 80s, whatever, 60s. But there, maybe it's just because of the whole thing that if I'm listening to pop music, I'm just scouring it. I'm going through it. I've got the panning out. It's like I'm panning for gold. Going, is someone going to do something here? And go, will I mishear a lyric? That's a really useful one. Is mishearing a lyric, or will there be some device that someone does? And I go, Jesus, why didn't I think about it? It's just a genius thing. It happens once every 6 months or something where I hear something. And, sometimes getting to those ingredients is beyond my control. Like, I can't get there. There's that song, Put a Ring on It, I think is sheer genius.
Yeah.
Single Ladies, just listen to it, the way the rhythm's structured.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how good that
fantastic.
song is.
And she's so clean in it.
But she's
clean and yet she's fresh at the same time.
She's a classy, incredible artist, so she gets you'd think the cream of the crop songs, that's the way that works, I would think.
Yeah, you'd think so. But for me, that one just stood at that one, and Crazy in Love, those two just stood above the others. Yeah. They're, by anyone's terms, world beaters.
I think the two things that you mentioned about, like, mishearing a lyric, I think that happened to me once, where I got a lot of hate mail from people who love Van Halen, because they thought I was saying Van Halen is overrated. instead of heaven, and that heaven is overrated. Man, I'm gonna kill you, Van Halen. So anyway, I think that's a lovely perspective that you have musically, and family and music seems to be very important to you, that you can't have one without the other, the way you structured your life. You seem to be a pretty structured guy. That's the way that this works
That has
well
happened.
for you.
I'm not. Naturally, I'm not at all. I'm
But you've had to
completely
become that?
I have become that.
Yeah.
As, as the necessary thing that one has to do,
Right. Is there any, are there some artists out there that you want to tell everybody about that they should hear that maybe they wouldn't know in the United States or in some parts of, that people might want to hear that are from the United States? That, like Lissy is a girl that you've mentioned. She's a United States girl with a UK record contract, and I think you guys really know more about Lissy here than in the United States. But I love her. My wife and I listen to her a lot.
Who is really good? Who's from the States? A girl called Elle King.
Elle King, she's a friend of mine.
She's going to be so marvelous.
Yeah,
she
I
is
know.
so marvelous. I mean, at the moment,
have you written with Elle?
Yeah, a few
Yeah,
times.
she's a special girl.
Oh, she's absolutely amazing.
I need to do a podcast with her because she's the funniest woman you'll ever meet. But she opened for us during our tour. I think about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. We were here in the UK and everything, and we become friends. And she's just one of my favorite artists. So yeah, Elle King. People know her through Train as well. So the way I always finish up podcasts is I go through a list of questions that my wife is interested in knowing about all the people. So yeah,
Great.
You look like you know what's coming. These are going to be actually the real good questions because mine are very average. So here, if you're ready, this is what they sound like. What are you afraid of?
Ooh. Classic stuff, not being wanted.
Yeah.
Suddenly finding that I'm falling through space and not through space, but, just to wake up and think, oh gosh, maybe kind of other things like falling out of touch, so in a way they're all about communication, suddenly realizing that, I'm out of touch with, it's hard for me to say. I don't really know.
Do you have a fear that because you work so hard and so often, and you really work with a lot of different artists, because in the songwriting world, I believe that everybody knows who you are. Egg White is one of the top writers in the world, I think. Do you fear that the phone is going to stop ringing? Is that part of it for you?
Yeah, totally. A kind of sense that, gosh, it's been a while since he's written a decent song. And the reason I'm frightened of that is because I think it.
I think you're going to be fine.
I think I'm going to be fine as
If
well.
you ever need any encouragement, I'm pretty good at the over-the-phone hug. What do you think you're best at?
Again, I suppose it's back to that being flexible. That if somebody walks in, this is just professionally, I suppose we're talking here, but, if somebody walks in, they just need backing up, well, I can do that. If somebody walks in and they have no idea what story they want to tell, well, then I will sit there and we will talk for 2, 3, 4 hours until an interesting story that we both want to tell presents itself. And then we will be able to tell it honestly and straight, and you'll hear it and you'll know that it was straight. So flexibility, persistence, a wish to wait until there is something, because I do think it comes down to funny stuff like just telling stories.
Yeah.
I do like a story.
I find that when I ask the question about what people are best at, everyone has such a practical way of complimenting themselves, so that it always seems so okay to do. Like we compliment things about ourselves that no one's gonna judge. Like I just think that my highest quality is being practical. Like nobody's gonna say, "What a prick."
Yeah.
Because I want to say, I think sex is what I'm best at. Wouldn't it be like great to hear somebody say that? I just think being in bed with a woman, nobody's better. Like I have heard a guy say that to me. I'm real good at it, and I was like, I need to podcast that guy because I need people to hear
You've
that.
got something special.
That's incredible. So, what's left to do for you? Like, what are the
Oh God, everything. The simple thing that's really left to do is that moment when you're listening to a piece of music and you think, oh yeah, okay, nothing's happening here, and then suddenly it's like your arse falls out. That's definitely what I'm aiming for. That thing where your hairs go up and you go, whoa, I didn't expect that, to get touched by something like that, and it's contextual, it's definitely.
And the idea of having things, that's over, right? Like awards or some type of validation. There's no more of that you need. It's more moments of
I really want one of those Nikon full-frame digital cameras, actually.
But like, they're more moments of like your life where you're participating in something special.
No, that would be total bollocks. I'd love to get a few more Ivors.
Okay.
I'd love that.
Cool.
And I'd love to earn them. I don't want to earn them with shit songs.
Sure.
I'd like a good song to step up and to be good, and one of the ones, a rare one, good one.
Let's get some of those. Can you help me write a Van Morrison song?
Probably, yeah.
Because a few minutes ago you couldn't.
No, first of all, get out the nylon guitar. Second,
Well, I had no idea that we could win awards. Yes, I can do that. So that's obviously that. Yeah, I know how you'll do it. So what's your most memorable personal moment? It's like something, and it's hard to say. I think maybe it'd be easier to what's one of the ones that's freshest in your brain that may have happened not so long ago, like a personal moment with one of your kids or in your life outside of music, that something special that happened. Nothing? Something? A great meal?
I'm going to go quiet here because I don't know.
Okay, no problem. How about
No, I don't know.
a professional moment?
I tell you, there was one. We were driving through Morocco, and we went to the south, and we hired a really cheap car, and the roads there are kind of scary.
Yeah.
And one day we thought we were going to go all the way from this place, Tafraout. We thought we were going to go through the Anti-Atlas Mountains and stay up, and then go through the Oasis, to this town called Zagora in the deep south on the edge of the Sahara Desert. Anyway, someone said, oh, no, you mustn't go through the Anti-Atlas. You've got to go south to Tata because the roads are better. And we looked at it and we thought, okay. Anyway, it turns out it's a 9.5-hour drive. But the first 6 hours were just like nothing I've ever seen. There was something just south of Ichhem. There was this flat desert. And we'd seen amazing things. We'd driven down this road for an hour and a half, whereby it's a 60-degree drop, like down a mile, all the way through. And thankfully, there were no other cars on the road. But I mean, for an hour and a half to be shitting it. Oh. And then to get out and to get on a straight road, and suddenly this particular desert with tornadoes opens up. And we're all looking. We cannot believe it. We are slack-jawed at how incredible this is.
Wow, that's cool. Who did you get to have that experience with?
Whole family.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah. Polly and then the 3 kids all in the back, and we're all looking out. We're seeing these. I've never seen a tornado before, and we saw a couple.
Wow! You just saw a couple out in the desert.
Just saw a couple out in the desert,
wow.
And it was cumulative. I mean, the last 3 hours were sheer hell. Yeah. Actually, my neck and shoulders went, and in the evenings everyone comes out. So the last 3 hours were hell, but we got to the Sahara. But it was that bit just south of Icham, where this first desert. We went through 2 or 3 deserts.
That's a great story. Professional moment, something lately that probably working with me.
Well, it's a while ago, actually, but it was Adele did it.
Oh.
Adele.
I thought it was going to be me, but okay. No, it's Adele. Yeah,
it is Adele.
Just to be clear.
To be clear, I'm afraid it's Adele. It was, I hadn't seen her for about a year or something. And there was a guy called Dan Merriweather, a singer, very good singer. And his A&R man, Peter Edge, said, look, I think this song that you've written with Dan ought to be a duet. And you know Adele, don't you? I go, yeah, I do. You go, well, will you ask her? Anyway, a couple of days later, I'm walking down the street and I bump into her manager. And I see him and I go, oh, will she do it? And he goes, oh, maybe, send me the tune across. So I send it across. And then she comes in. Turns out she hasn't heard it. And then she sits there and she goes, bang, an R&B tune. And then she sung it. And normally Adele's all done in 3 takes. Maybe 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Unless she kind of gets a bit between her teeth. But anyway, in this case, she's like 5 takes in, and then just something happened. She goes, oh, give me one more run. And she just did something with her hand where she kind of dug in with her kind of hand. She's standing up. And it was about a minute as she sung this chorus on this tune, but it was just amazing. I've not been in a room with somebody whereby they've just dug in and found something absolutely, totally, just not just 5%, but 23% beyond what they've been doing before, like beyond where they could go. Just found this amazing thing. Anyway,
that's cool.
It was really cool. It was a song called Water and a Flame, and she sings the second verse, and Dan was pretty good on the first.
And when is that coming out?
No, it came out. It came out.
Came out.
Yeah, it was not a hit. Total failure.
Oh, well, I'm going to check it out anyway, because And it's funny that moment didn't spark something in the moments you've had with me as being like the highlight of your life. But I'm not going to take it personally. I'm just going to move on to the next question. You remember your first kiss?
Yeah.
What, were you like 15?
No, I was 12.
Nice.
No, it wasn't that nice.
You're
Actually.
romantic. Karen. Oh,
No,
that
I fancied
whore.
her best mate, Bridget, who was going out with my best mate. It was one of those ones where you get it wrong.
It's always a Karen or a Bridget. Okay, so how did you meet your wife?
She lived in the next street. That's why I moved to Notting Hill, was to meet
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
Notting
cool.
Hill nobility.
Is there anyone you want to be more like?
I'm inclined to
Probably
say
another-
myself.
Yeah, well, so you're good how you want it. That's cool.
No, not that. Kind of. I'd like to be straighter, more open, more clear.
More clear.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want for your children that you didn't have as a child?
No, in a way, there were some hard things that I had that have been incredibly useful. Some things that were not exactly optimal in my own upbringing that have turned out to be very useful and very valuable.
Cool. So you get what you get, and that's best for you.
Yeah, I think you get what you get.
Yeah, I
If
think
they're
that's
hardworking
it.
kids, they'll all be all right.
Do you have a favorite holiday, not vacation, but like a global holiday, something that you celebrate that you appreciate the most? Halloween, perhaps? Do you like to dress up like a witch?
Yeah, we do, yeah. I do. I normally choose the skeleton approach.
Do you wear a dress during Halloween? Anything weird like that
I've
that we
worn
want to...
bin bags last time.
Okay.
It was
That sounds weird. I'm
yeah,
into
black
that.
bin bags.
Okay. So is that your favorite holiday, or you don't want to...
No, Halloween's pretty nice, actually. I'm quite up for that one.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one. I think, I just knew it from looking at you.
It's a hard time of year. You get a week off.
What is it's a hard time of year because it's about to transition into like some heavy weather.
Yeah, you've had a month
And-
of bad weather and you've got 4 more months of
Stock
crap
up on
coming.
some treats because you're about to go away for a while.
Because it's coming.
Is there a record or a song that you wish didn't exist? Maybe one of your own, maybe someone else's.
No, but there are some good songs that I really ought to say, God, people ought to check that out.
Nothing that was like, oh, I wish I never wrote that. Or I
Oh,
wish.
I've written all manner of crappy songs.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, hundreds and hundreds
Okay.
of them. And
So-
some have even come out, and thankfully they've all tanked. Or some have even maybe done
Yeah, so you got to go through the process, right? It's like
That's the
the
great
hours.
thing about being a songwriter.
Yeah.
At the same way as you don't get, you don't get shot if you fail.
Right.
That's the great, huge advantage. A singer fails in public and does a nasty piece of work that tanks.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to hurt you. That's going to really hurt you. Songwriters, you've just got unlimited death.
Right, that's true. You have a limited death until the next life. Last question is there something that someone said to you that kind of altered where you were heading in your life, positive or negative? Something like, for me, my moment was in Pennsylvania where I was growing up as a kid. I was in a car with a bunch of kids. We were coming home from basketball practice, and there was a Michael Jackson song on. And we were all singing it together, and then everybody stopped singing it and started listening to me. And they were like, what?
Nice.
And I was like, what? And that was all I needed because that was the first time that my peers validated anything that I did. I was not a good student. I couldn't really do anything better than average, but I could do that. And that was really fun for me.
Yeah.
Is there like a moment that was defining? Because I know I started this band with a guy who his whole family for his whole life just said, music is not the way you should go. You got to stop bothering with that. Do something else. And that made him want it more.
Yeah, of course it's going to. No, I didn't have anything like that. I had a pivotal moment when I was 14.
Is this the same Bridget?
But it's about that time, actually. It's a little later. Same place, Copman's Wick in Chorleywood. There was a kind of place where the cool kids used to smoke. This is not in central London. This is in Chorleywood, which is 25 miles outside London.
Smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes, yeah. Kind of middle executives town, trash, white trash. And I used to go up there, and basically when I was about 13, I stopped. I was always academic, a kind of posh kid. And I just started smoking, started dropping my teas, and kind of aiming in a
Is
particular
that
direction.
a thing that happens? You drop your T's?
You do. You drop
So-
your T's.
so
I can't
you-
do it anymore because I've been programmed not to, but it would embarrass me if I
Can
did.
you give us an example of what that is? Like, say the sentence with the T's and say it without?
Okay.
Because I didn't know that was a thing, but I do hear people do it.
Yeah, I'm
and I go like,
forgetting you, mate.
I wonder if you're trying to do that. What is
Yeah.
it?
So you'd say, I'm forgetting it. Or I'm forgetting it, mate. I'm
forgetting it.
I'm forgetting
Right.
it. So you're just instead of a T.
Everything's
Yeah. If
Hey,
you hit
mate.
a T, you just go instead.
right. And that's a thing. You do that on purpose.
Yeah.
But
It's,
is it something that is actually like it happens organically for people,
no,
or
in
you
my
force
case, it was a distinct, intentional move down market.
Wow. See, I love that. That's a very. And so, what was the thing that was said to you during that time? That,
Well, nothing was said to me. What happened was
but that was just a time for you to
I
do.
went up Cockman's Wick, and I'd been up there a few times, and they thought, oh, Egg's coming. Quick, undo the swing at the top.
They called you Egg back then
yeah,
too.
it's called Egg.
You've
yeah.
always been.
I've
Egg.
been Egg since I was 11.
That's awesome. That's a great name, man. I can't believe your parents called you Egg.
No, they do now. My dad still calls me France, actually.
Oh, does he?
But my mum calls me Egg.
Cool. It's a cute name. I mean, it's a cool name too. It's both of those things. Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt that.
Anyway, basically, this guy, Giles Fallon, undoes the rope at the top, and everyone goes, oh, Egg, you got to go swinging on the thing. So I go, okay, look at it. It looks fantastic. And I go swinging on the rope, and it's been undone at the top. And I hit the deck so hard on my back, and it knocked the wind out of me, knocked everything out of me, and I crawled back home.
Oh,
And just about the same time, my granddad was dying, and he said, look, I can see what's going on for you. You're about to get a Mohican, and you want to get a tattoo, and you want to pierce your ear. I'm dying. You've got a life in front of you. Don't do it. And I didn't. He said, I can see what's happening. You're dropping academia. You're kind of giving up on a way
and
of life
that
which will serve you really
really
well.
changed you.
It really changed
It would
me.
have changed me too.
I didn't. He died. I didn't.
Wow.
And I went back to school properly and re-engaged and did well at school and didn't go to college, in fact. But something about...
You're still going to get the tattoo of me when I leave, though. This isn't going to interfere
On
with
my
that.
ear.
On your ear. Great.
Oh, my ass.
On your ass and ear. Well, I got to tell you, I know you have to go, so I want to wrap it up and say thank you so much for not just your time today, but also your talent and sharing it with me. I think that
Similarly.
I think you're a special guy alongside of your special talents. I think that that's what I'm learning about great writers and great artists is that it doesn't just end when you like their art. And then, occasionally you meet an artist that you really like and then they do something that makes you go, I'm going to stop buying that asshole's records. And that's not you. You're the opposite. So everybody, this is a guy named Egg White. He's an amazing artist and a great writer. Go look him up. And you got to go see Brother Beyond.
Oh,
You
the
got to
internet.
just check out some YouTube footage of that. I don't know what to say. It's terrible.
It was
But
all
it's,
nylon.
It's so great.
No
It's,
natural
Who's the
fibers.
singer? What's that
Nathan.
guy doing?
Oh, man. Things haven't been easy for Nathan.
All right. Well, I love Nathan. So go check out the YouTube and throw that guy some
Some
love.
love.
Yeah, he needs it. All right. Egg White. Thanks.
That was Ed White. Man, that guy, man, I love him. I saw him in Nashville not so long ago. I couldn't believe that he even got on a plane to go to Nashville because that guy, anybody who wants to work with Egg just goes to his house and they end up finding the amazement right there in his facility. But maybe he had great luck in Nashville as well. I'm sure that the genius just travels with him. If you want to know more about the podcast, then please visit Patcast Podcast at Instagram and Twitter. You can go to patcast.com. And then if you want to know more about Egg, go to @egg, E-G, _white at Twitter. No tweets since June 2009, I'm afraid. But maybe he's going to turn that up a notch after the podcast. Perga will put together a Spotify playlist of all the songs he has worked on, and we'll post that link as well on patcast.com. So thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you had a good time listening to this one. This is one of my favorites, and that was the Patcast.